So welcome everybody to Unity of Blairsville on this beautiful Sunday evening. My name is Rev Jessie, and it's my honor and my pleasure and my great joy to walk with you Christ to Christ, light to light, love to love, and for this gathering today. And Dina's going to take us in. When she sent to me what the song she was going to use, it brought back old memories, because this song Majesty is actually a chant that came through me that then Wiley put to music. So enjoy, and let's just breath by breath sink in a little deeper to this time together.
I didn't know that's where this song came from for Wiley. That's pretty cool.
Out in front of Ingrid and Bonnie's home, it was this huge, big, majestic tree that I called Majesty, and that's how it came about.
Oh, nice. That's great. Bonnie and Ingrid's house is less than a half a mile from my house, so that's a nice little local connection. Majesty of the living God. I am the majesty of the living God. I am just as I am, all that I am, just as I am, all that I am.
We just allow those words, that truth, to flow through us right now. Intentionally opening space within us for that truth to expand and grow and be and live. I am that I am. I am that I am. The majesty, the power of the divine. We dedicate this time together to that majesty, to that truth, opening us even wider and deeper. And then we just surrender into this time together. And so it is. Amen. And from that music, Nancy Rosemergy has a daily word that they've created special for this service today. So sink into some more wonderful consciousness here.
Times of challenge call for strength, the God-given ability to persist and endure. Often we seem to reach our extremity. We think we can go no further. And then an inner voice says to us, take one more step. This is the voice of God revealing a strength not yet discovered and experienced, yet a part of the essence of our being. Dear friend, you may feel you cannot go on, that things will never change, but you can take one more step, and with that step, you will feel something divine stirring in you. It moves in you, and with it comes hope. You will stand a little taller and sense your leg move as you do what you thought you could not do. Take one more step. You move and another step is taken, and then another. Physical strength is present and a conviction is being born. Something not of this world is at work, and the voice speaks once more. All is well.
From those words, we all stand a little taller as Dina sings us in to hold on to your dream.
Dana's sound is off.
We can't hear you.
Thank you. I had muted myself for the daily word and then forgot to turn it back on. Okay, so the lyrics for Hold On to Your Dream are in the chat box, and I'm going to briefly teach it to you. So this is the refrain. The song starts with the refrain and sounds like this. Hold on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. Then repeats. Hold on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. I'll do that once more. 1, 2, 3. Hold on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. Hold on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. So the verse pretty much bounces back and forth between these two notes. You gotta do the work, you gotta stand up and grow, you gotta build your strength till the spirit says, now let's go. You gotta just keep holding on to your dream. We're back to the refrain. Alright, so this is pretty easy. Here we are at the top. Hold on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. Hold on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. You gotta do the work, you gotta stand up and grow, you gotta build your strength till the spirit says, now let's go. You gotta just keep holding on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. Hold on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. You gotta hold your faith in what you know you can see. You gotta keep the fire burning till the spirit says yes indeed. You gotta just keep holding on to your dream. You've got to keep holding on to your dream. Hold on to your dream, you've got to keep holding on to your dream. You gotta keep on moving one step at a time. You gotta just keep walking till the spirit says, go on, let's fly. You gotta just keep holding on to your dream. You got to keep holding on to your dream. Hold on to your dream. You got to keep holding on to your dream. Hold on to your dream. Hold on to your dream. Hold on to your dream.
Thanks, Dina. We're all holding on, right? We've got to, through all
That's right.
times, but you got it. Good reminder. Thank you. Thank you. So, as every Sunday, we light the Christ candle as that symbol of that eternal flame that lives us, grows us, is us. And times like this, when we're together and sharing, it gets a little brighter. Oh, mine just almost went out. No, there it comes. So it's that outer manifestation of that inner spirit, that inner light that we walk with through all of our lives. So I'll set that. And then our affirmation for this month. I express the peace and love of my Christ spirit. And maybe today with that song, maybe we should say, I express the peace, love, and strength of my Christ spirit. I express the peace, love, and strength of my Christ spirit. Together, please. I express the peace, love, and strength of my Christ spirit. So we affirm that and know that that is the truth. So to take us into some readings that Nancy will do, and then the message by Jim of Take One More Step, we have another piece of music by our wonderful musician Dina. I Will Carry On.
So this is a Daniel Nahmod song. I Will Carry On. Once more knocking on a locked door, wondering why I try for anything at all. Ran hard, worked it with my whole heart, searching for that last part. Once again I fall. I have never had an easy climb. Still, it's up to me to decide. I will carry on. I will carry on. Hope is never gone, and hope is never wrong. It's time to take the leap beyond what I can see. Here I go again. One deep breath and then I will carry on. Once more crashing through that closed door. Once it's still not anymore. This is my time. Which way am I headed today? I don't care what they say. The choice is all mine. I may not have an easy climb, but I have made up my mind. I will carry on. I will carry on. Hope is never gone, and hope is never wrong. It's time to take the leap beyond what I can see. Here I go again. One deep breath and then I will carry on. The world will say give up, but I will not give up, 'cause this is what I've always dreamed of. And if it takes a lifetime, I will carry on. I will carry on. Hope is never gone, and hope is never wrong. It's time to take the leap beyond what I can see. Here I go again. One deep breath and then I will carry on. I will carry on. I will carry on.
Thanks, Dina.
Jim's lesson this morning is take one more step. These words from Lao Tzu: the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. From Nathaniel Brandon: the first step toward change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. From Chauncey Depew: The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you are. From Lyndon Johnson. Peace is a journey of 1,000 miles, and it must be taken one step at a time. This from Vance Havner. The vision must be followed by the venture. It is not enough to stare up the steps. We must step up the stairs. From Thich Nhat Hanh. Every breath we take, every step we make can be filled with joy, peace, and serenity. Neil Armstrong. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. And finally, these words, sometimes the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest step of your life.
Thank you, Nancy. I remember years ago, Unity of Fort Myers, where Nancy started doing those readings, and it was just so special to see her up there. And I remember the first time you did that, that just kind of brought tears to my eyes. So it kind of feels good to be back together doing that. You know, it's been a while since I've been with you all in this capacity as a speaker. I've been with you numerous times over the winter time, but the first time to actually be the speaker again. So it feels good to be back in that capacity. And with Dina, the first time I've been with Dina as well in this capacity. So, and we'll be doing a meditation together with you not too far down the road. So today I want to talk to you about take one more step. And I ask you this question, when we have a challenge, what is needed? What's needed when we have a challenge? And we've been challenged immensely over the last year. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and there's been health challenges for people. There's been death and grief and lost jobs. People probably have gone through divorces, of course, and then we're dealing with emotions, depression, all those different things. And so there's many different challenges, and probably each one of the challenges requires something a little bit different. But this is my question to you. All of those challenges, what one thing is required? And I think the answer to that is strength. It is the ability to persist or endure. And in Unity, we speak of strength as being one of the 12 powers. The 12 powers are actually the avenues through which the Christ spirit that is within us, the spirit of God within us, it's the avenue through which it flows through our lives and out into the world. And regardless of what the challenge that we find ourselves in the midst of, the strength is always required, this ability to persist and endure. And, you know, often in life we're taken to an extremity where we don't think that we can go on. We can't take that one more step. And yet it is at the extremity, if we take that one more step, then we feel that surge of a strength that we never dreamed was there. The scripture says it this way, let the weak say, I am strong. When you're at that point and you feel weak, and yet it's time to take one more step. And so that's going to be our subject today. What can we do to take that one more step? And we're going to explore briefly strength in 4 different areas. We're going to talk about physical strength and mental strength, emotional strength, and spiritual strength. Now, I know it sounds like we're going to be here for the rest of the evening, but that's not the case. We'll be able to get through those. We'll just touch on each one of those areas. So let's just start with physical strength. Muscles, you know, the guns as they call them. How do they come to be? How do we get strong physically? Well, the answer is through repetition. It is strength that comes through use. And that's not only with our physical, with our muscles, it's also true mentally as well. Today I want to tell you just a whole bunch of stories about strength. And I'm going to harken back to my days playing tennis. I used to play tennis at a pretty high level. I was played number one on my high school tennis team and number one on my college team. And my senior year in college, our team was number 7 in the country, small college at Old Dominion. So I played tennis at a pretty high level. When I was living in Raleigh, North Carolina, First Ministry there, played a lot of tennis in those days. And I had just turned 35. And I decided, and this was probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done, but I decided that I was going to play in the men's division in a tennis tournament. And since I just turned 35, I figured, well, I'll go ahead and play in the 35s as well. And I knew I had to get in really good shape to be able to do both of those tournaments at the same time. And so I did something I don't ordinarily do, which is I got up really early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, not a morning person. And I would get up and I would run to get ready. So I was running, there was that strength through use, but it required something else. And this is what we're going to do today. We're going to look at what are the various ingredients that are a part of us growing stronger and stronger and stronger. And so one of the things that had to happen in this getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning was commitment. It had been so easy just to, when that alarm went off, just go and pop that thing off. But I had to make a commitment to get out and to do the running to prepare for the tournament. So we're seeing now we're going to add things to this where we have strength that comes through repetition, strength that comes through use, and an ingredient that's so necessary is also commitment. And then another is goal and intent. Let's stay in the vein of tennis here for a moment. Before I got into the ministry, I was a naval aviator, and our air wing was in Albany, Georgia. And so I played a lot of tennis when I was in the Navy. And there was a time when I was in a tournament in Albany, and this was of course in the heat of the humidity of the summer here in Georgia. And my doubles partner and I, we had won the city championship for doubles. And then I was playing in the finals for the singles. So just a really good player. We were in the third set, and my legs cramped up. If you've ever had leg cramps, you know it's excruciatingly painful. And I just crumbled to the ground and in agony, and people ran out and they were massaging my legs, and they gave me some liquid. And it would have been a time I could have retired at that point, but I had made a commitment. I had established a goal or an intent to win that tournament. And so I got up and I was going to go on, except every time I pushed off with my legs, they would just seize up again. And so what I had to do was serve underhand. Well, in a championship match against a good player, serving underhand is probably not the best thing for you to do. But that's what I did because I was willing to take that one more step. I had established a goal, an intent of winning that match. And I realized that, I couldn't go on as I was. I had to finish points quickly whenever I could. And I did, and I ended up winning that tournament. So we're adding another ingredient now. So we have use and repetition, we have commitment. And then one of the things that can be a factor in the strength rising up within us is that we have a goal or we have an intent of something that we're moving towards. Let's add another one. This is a story, actually, I think it's happened all across the country, probably numerous times, in which there is a woman, she's in the kitchen, and she's doing her work there, and not too far away, her husband's out in the garage or the carport, and he's working on the vehicle, and he's jacked it up, and he's underneath it, he's doing his work, and the woman hears this crash and this cry of agony, and she rushes out into the carport of the garage, and there is her husband, and he is pinned beneath the automobile. And it's in these stories, it's interesting. The woman always weighs 90 pounds. I don't know if you've read some of these stories, but she seems to always weigh 90 pounds. And this 90-pound woman goes over and she lifts the vehicle off of her husband. These are true stories, and it's happened more than once that I've read and heard about all through the years. And so now we can add another ingredient to this strength, which is now it's someone who forgets himself or herself and forgets limitation. So you're seeing this now: use, repetition, commitment, goal or intent, forgetting self, forgetting limitation. And then it contributes to that strength moving within us. That actually happened to me when I was about 13 years old or so, visiting a friend, family friend in New Orleans, right across the river on the West Bank at a place called Tarrytown. This is a housing development. And my buddy Stan and I were playing together. Stan was younger than me, but a lot bigger than me. He ended up playing basketball at a Louisiana university. And they were building homes in Tarrytown. And the construction workers, I don't know why, but they had dug these giant, deep pits. And, you know, this is below the level of the river, the Mississippi River. And so you dig a hole on the west side, the west bank of the Mississippi River, and it fills up. And so Stan and I were playing around these giant pits, and Stan is horsing around and he falls in. And I'm laughing. He's in there and he tries to get out. He's kind of clawing at the side of the pit, this black, slick Mississippi mud, and he's trying to get out and he can't get out. He's just sliding back. And I'm still laughing. And then I see my friend, he goes under. And he comes back up and I realize that he's in trouble. And so I slide literally down the edge of that pit. I'm kind of perched on the side. And there's my friend dripping wet, bigger than me. And I reach out under his armpits and just with my arms extended, the strength comes. I lift him straight up out of the water, pull him over the top of me to safety. Once again, an example of forgetting self and forgetting limitation, so that something amazing can take place, because that strength is there. And when we're at our extremity, it is definitely there in those moments if we're willing to take one more step. So there's strength that's physical, and there's strength that's mental. And often, as I'm saying to you, these are actually woven together. It doesn't stand alone. The physical strength doesn't stand alone. There has to be another ingredient to it. And then there is emotional strength, because we as human beings, we are often overcome by our emotions. We are out of control with emotions. We fear our emotions. We're afraid of fear. We don't want to feel the hurt, the betrayal, the shame, the regret, the guilt. We want to just push those aside. And sometimes we push them down inside, and it moves from suppressing them to a depression. And it weakens us. So how do we find the emotional strength to allow ourselves to feel what needs to be felt? A couple of ideas. The first one is this. It's the realization that I am not my feelings. I have feelings, but I am not my feelings. And you probably had experiences, I have, where I'm actually almost detached, and I can see myself, feel and sense myself having some feeling of, and usually not anger, maybe it's more like grief or remorse or something. And we're separated from it. We realize I'm not the feeling, I'm something else that's having and experiencing that. So I'm not my feelings, but I'm having feelings. And then I've shared this with you before. It's one of the greatest breakthroughs of my life. I call it the sacred human, but it goes this way. Unless I'm willing to accept my humanity, I won't be able to express my divinity. And for our purposes today, we might express it this way. Unless I'm willing to accept my feelings, I won't be able to take that one more step to experience that emotional strength that is there for me. Feelings, my friends, need to be felt. And if we allow ourselves to feel them, the power that they may have over us is lessened. Let me give you an example. When I was in ministerial school, I had a good friend. His name was Howard Caesar, wonderful unity minister, a great career, and particularly in Houston, Texas. And we lived a mobile home apart in a park while we were going through ministerial school. And Howard and his wife Diane were having a child, Dawn. And the child came, and whenever something like that would happen in a ministerial class, there would always be a blessing and a celebration. And I knew the child was coming, and I had written a poem called Blessing for a Child. And as I had written the poem, I was thinking about our child, Jamie, and I wrote it in the middle of the night, and I just wept and cried when I wrote the poem. Well, the day came of the celebration for Howard. And I remember Howard came up, for those of you who have been to Unity Village, you know there's a freight elevator, and Howard came up the freight elevator on his motorcycle and kind of rolled it into our classroom. And he had a bunch of cigars and he was passing them out. And it came time, I had asked our class chaplain if I could give the blessing for the family and for Dawn. And so I started reading the blessing for a child. And what happened was that the emotions that I had when the poem was written flooded back over me again. And so I'm trying to read the poem and I'm overcome by these feelings and I'm crying and realize I had come from the Navy to enter into ministerial school. And believe me, when you're in the Navy, crying is not cool, and particularly crying in public, which is what I was doing. And so I was embarrassed, humiliated, but I struggled through that poem. But I felt I needed to be able to read that poem without the feelings overcoming me. I was a tennis pro at the time. That's how I put us, we had income while I was going through ministerial school. And every day I would drive 45 minutes to a tennis club where I taught my tennis. And so what I did was on the way to my job, I would recite the poem. And I recited the poem and I'd just cry. And I would cry and I would cry. Took me about a week to be able to actually recite the poem without the tears. And so one of the things I learned from that experience is that after a period of time, if you stay with it, if you let yourself feel, then there's an emotional strength that you begin to feel and experience within you. But it requires that you be fully alive, that you allow yourself to experience the feelings. So because what happens with emotions is that often they will ambush us. You know, we're moving through life and there's some little trigger and all of a sudden the feelings come upon us. And it can be the remorse, it can be the grief, it can be anger, but it's triggered and it ambushes us. There is a better way to approach that with prayer and meditation. And so here's what I would suggest in building up that emotional strength within you. And it's this, to enter into your time of prayer and meditation, and then engage your memories of some event where there is an emotion associated with it or thoughts that you might want to push aside. And as you bring that memory to mind, what happens usually is that the thoughts or the feelings will come with it. But there's a difference. Prior to this, what happens is that you are ambushed by the feelings or the thoughts. In this instance, that's not happening. You're actually calling the thoughts or the feelings into being. And they're coming into a prayerful consciousness. That's healing. And so when the thoughts come, you might say to them, tell me more. So there's no resistance. You're accepting the thought. Or it's the feelings to say, you're a part of me. I'm not going to push you aside. I've done that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. We're going to experience this together. And so you allow yourself to feel those feelings. And as you do, you grow in emotional strength. You allow yourself to be fully alive, fully human, fully alive, fully divine. And so that's the third dimension, where there's physical strength and there's mental strength and there's emotional strength. And then, of course, there's spiritual strength as well. And this, the way I think of spiritual strength is it is strength through connection. It's a matter of, do you live your life running on a battery, or are you connected to the source? And of course, spiritual strength, you're not running on a battery, you're connected to the source. And prayer and meditation has to be a part of that. And we're going to take an idea that we learned earlier where we forget ourselves, we forget limitation. And so we enter into prayer and meditation, but we're going to do so in a way in which we forget self. Let me explain. Jesus basically gave us a prayer practice. We call it affirmative prayer. And it's found in Mark, the 11th chapter, verse 24. And it's, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you've received it and it will be yours. Now, I've talked to you about this before, and I know it's been a while since we've been together, but I'm going to ask you a question about that verse. I'll say it one more time. But I want you to determine what's the most important word in the verse. And here's the verse again. This is Jesus talking now. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you received it, and it'll be yours. And so what's the most important word? And you might say ask or believe or receive. There's a lot of different possibilities. But you know what the most important word is? Some of you? The word it. It. You got that, huh, Louise? Yes? Okay. The reason the word it is the most important word is it determines why you pray and meditate. And that it can be something very much of the world. But remember what I said is that we're looking at an ingredient that brings forth or invites this strength moving within us. And we're trying to marry forget self with prayer and meditation. And so now we're going to let go of those aspects of life that we typically give attention to in our prayer and meditation, where we have some need and we want to have it resolved. So what are we going to do? If we set those things aside in prayer and meditation, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to turn to Jesus as an example for prayer and meditation. Because when I look at Jesus' ministry, I see his focus in prayer, and I've made it my own. And Jesus' prayer is this: I and the Father are one. For Jesus, prayer meditation was about conscious oneness with God. That's what it is. That's forgetting self. It's conscious oneness with God. And if we can experience that sense of oneness, then out of that will flow our whole spiritual life. There's a connection then to a power that's greater than self. There's a spiritual strength there that when we are at our extremity, then we can step forward. We can take one more step. And when we do, that strength pours itself through us. We didn't know it was there, but now we do. And if that happens enough, then we know it's there for us all the time. And no matter what the challenge is, the strength is there. And no matter what the challenge is, the strength is what is needed as well. So let's take a look back at different things that contribute to strength. Strength in all its different varied forms, be it whether it's physical strength or mental or emotional or spiritual. And so there's a whole list of them. You probably got them all memorized now, no doubt. And one is use or repetition, commitment, goals or intent, forgetting self, and forgetting limitation, a strength that comes through connection. We apply that in prayer and meditation, where we set aside the human experience and we just let the focus of our prayer and meditation be just what Jesus was. I and the Father are one. And then out of that oneness, that connection, whatever is needed is there. But strength is part of it. And it's always needed whenever there's a challenge in our lives. So these are the things that contribute to the strength. So I ask you, can we take one more step? Can we? And the answer is, of course we can. We can take one more step. And so it is. Amen. Well, we want to take these ideas, friends, and we want to take them into prayer and meditation. It's one of the reasons I love doing the prayer and meditation after the lesson, because then whatever we happen to talk about, we can actually take them inside, because, the truth of the matter is, what's really important is not what Rev Rosemergy says, but what's really important is that still small voice and what it might speak and say to you. So Dina, I know, she and I are going to team up here for a little bit, and let's just close our eyes and take a deep breath together. And just let it go. I'm no longer holding on. I'm letting go. Letting myself be held in everlasting arms. Sensitive to what is moving within me, be it thought, feelings, or images. I am non-resistant. I am accepting that which moves within me. Some of it human, perhaps some of it dark. And yet there is a light that is there. The Spirit of God is moving in me. As that Spirit moves on the waters out of the void, the stream. It is there. All that is needed. Strength divine. Whispering, saying, forget self, forget limitation. All that's needed, connect to conscious oneness, unity, oneness of spirit. So I set aside the world, these challenges. There's only one presence, one power. And with it comes the strength to do all things. I may believe myself to be at my extremity. The way is not clear. I hear the words of an ancient time. Let the weak say I'm strong. Take one more step, it says. Take one more step. So this step is taken in into the stillness, into silence, where I rest for a while. I let God be God in the silence. The path is clear. And I may not see the end of that path, but I see enough to take one more step. But when I find myself at that extreme, it is as if there is a chorus that always sings there. Every human being that reaches that place, that chorus, again, again, and take one more step. And so I do. Take a deep breath. I let it bring me back to this place, this time. I am among dear friends. Dear friends. And we are as one. Thank you, dear friend. And so it is. Amen.
Jesse?
I think Dina's going to take us out of that meditation with a song.
Well, this song, sorry, this is really loud now. This song is a congregational join-in song. It's not really an end of the meditation song. It just happens to be what's next in the order of service. But as long as I'm speaking here, I'll just continue to speak. I don't really particularly feel like moving out of that meditative mood. That was very powerful. So this song is an embodiment of strength. This is written by Callie Crowley, and I put the lyrics in the chat box here if you feel like joining in. I'm not going to teach it. It's repetitive enough, so if you feel like you've caught on, you can feel free to join in with me. And let me make sure I'm in the right key here.
Love enough to pass love on.
that's wonderful energy to take that one next step with, isn't it? Thank you so much, Reverend Jim and Nancy and Dina and everybody. And whoo, so in that one next step, as we have been fed, so we shall give. In that circle of giving and receiving that full abundance of God. So if it calls to your heart to support Unity of Blairsville and these services that we do, we would all feel so blessed. And it's on our website and newsletter. And
In the
let's
chat. It's also in the chat.
in the chat. Easy to give. So let's say together that my guess is no matter what church we've come from, this offering blessing is pretty universal in unity, I think. So please say it with me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I receive, and I am grateful. Thank you, God. So, what a wonderful service. Thank you so much, Rosemergy and Dina and everybody. The energy here was just palpable. And to take us out into our time of a little community gathering and sharing for any and all who would like to stay and do that, let's go out with, I never can remember lately which order we do this in. Let's say let's sing the peace song and then our prayer for protection.
Lyrics are in the chat box.
Surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Step by step, all is well. And next week, to carry on this wonderful energy, Reverend John Strickland will be with us. And just thank you all for being here. And if you want to stay and visit a little bit, we would love it.